What is good, Josh? I'm the Smooth Game Man, back with yet another reaction video, baby. And today we are back with another week of the Power Ranking Show, man. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Y'all already know what the type of vibes are. Let me know what you guys' list looks like. If it looks any different, we're mostly focusing on like them top three, basically. For me, I still got to put, you're undefeated. You're previous Super Bowl champs. You still got to be number one to me, Chiefs. But Detroit stepped up in a big way last week, especially with Baltimore losing. I guess the third team you'd have to go like Bills, maybe Commanders. One of those two. So it'll be interesting what they go with. I gotta stop hating on the Bills for real and just be more realistic. I probably would put Bills 3, but we'll see what his list looks like, man. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the sports content and wanted to continue on the channel. So that way I can see the videos are showing support. I can bring more out. Maybe we can do highlights of the games instead, or with it too as well, of just the power rankings. But you guys let me know down below what more sports content you guys want to see. So let's get into it.
All right, let's get to it because I was excited. I saw the rankings come out. I got a little preview, and yes, there is a new number one.
Me personally, I've always felt bad about putting a team with more losses above a team with less losses. The sad part is here, I don't necessarily disagree with this, bro. We got the Lions 1, Kansas City 2, Buffalo 3, Ravens, Commanders running out the top 5, Packers, Vikings, Texans running out the top of the list. So Vikings dropped 3 spots, of course. Texans staying at 8. Honestly, I think we're starting to see the Vikings show who they really are. I would put Texans above, honestly, probably them and the Packers, low-key. I think I was, the Commanders, they played the Ravens head on. I guess the Ravens did win, but at the same time, head-to-head, they did kind of beat them, so power ranking-wise. Well, if they played it again, though, history has shown when you play a team a second time, it's normally the other team that comes out on top. And Jay Daniels would be more seasoned the next time they would face off because it'd have to be in the Super Bowl. But the Ravens did just pick up a good key piece. But Deontay Johnson trade probably went down before this video went up, though. Because at the time we were recording this, they traded for Deontay Johnson, y'all. So I'm doing this right after that trade went down. But, okay. Final top 8 here. I'm still going Kansas City, Detroit. But I respect it. Buffalo. I got to roll with my heart and who I think would win in a second round matchup. I know they beat them the first time. Commanders, Baltimore, Houston, Green Bay, Minnesota. That's how my top 8 look. Let's go ahead and jump into it, though, so he can explain how. Because I got to hear this. Obviously, like I said, I respect it and I see it. But let me hear why.
Not a surprise here. You got the Lions. Maybe it is a surprise that they sit at number 1.
I bet it's a surprise for a lot of people.
Why they deserve the top spot.
Real quick, let me know down below if you are surprised that they're the top team.
Yeah, I mean, as I wrote in the power rankings, this is less a reflection of like the Chiefs as it is more that the Lions just seem to be a more dangerous team right now. Anytime you can go out
and have
a 200-yard day on offense
and
and
score
score 52 points,
there.
I guess that's pretty efficient. And, they really dominated in all 3 phases. They didn't run a lot of offensive plays, so it's not as if their average was so bad, and they still broke off big plays like Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery throwing a touchdown pass to Laporta. They got in the end zone plenty of times, but special teams gave them great field position. Defense gave them turnovers. And if you get wide open passes like this all day long, yes, you are worthy of the top spot.
Come a long way.
Nothing against the Chiefs, more just that the Lions have overcome so many things and won games in so many different fashions. Had to make the flip this week.
Yeah. And I think what makes it so impressive too is that's an image of what it looks like to win in the draft. They got most of that good talent that's holding that team up have been draft picks outside of David Montgomery free agency and Jared Goff through trade. Outside of that, and then that's you trade away your franchise quarterback for a different quarterback that's getting you. Now, would Matthew Stafford be doing the same thing? I don't know, but this ain't time for speculation. Drafted a very good squad, got the draft picks that you needed through your trades, signed a couple of good free agent pickups. Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Hutchinson, Gibbs, Sewell on the offensive line. I think they, I cannot remember who. I know they drafted 1 or 2 DBs too as well. Like, this team is drafted.
They look like a dominant football team, and I think that's the eye test. And I hate using that phrase because it's certainly subjective, but at the end of the day, the Lions have been playing some outstanding football. Another tough test for them as they match up on the road against the Packers. Hopefully,
I'm taking Detroit.
Will be ready to rock and roll. So that means the Chiefs fall to the number 2 spot. I think fans in Kansas City are ready to at you on social media Explain
Y'all gotta
why the
understand
last
though.
undefeated
Y'all have
team,
been losing.
all they do is figure out ways
Y'all been
to get
winning
wins,
low games.
are sitting at number 2 for you.
Yeah, this sort of reminds me a little bit of what the Philadelphia Eagles did last year. They got out to that 10-1 start, and they kept winning games. And at one point, during pretty deep into that streak, our opponents had more touchdowns than they did. Now, it's not quite to that level in Kansas City, and they always seem to be kind of one step ahead of their opponents. But on Sunday, it just sort of felt like they left the door open, right? Patrick Mahomes threw the interception there. Yes, it was a throwback game for Kelsey, and he's got a new running mate there in DeAndre Hopkins, and there is certainly a little bit more offensive promise. You see guys like Worthy start to break out a little bit here. And defensively, we know they're great. But they did allow Gardner Minshew to kind of come down the field a couple times and make it a close game. Had the Raiders capitalized on some of those red zone possessions, there'd be a better reason to move them down because the Chiefs might have lost that game. So, again, like you said, the formula still works. They're still beating teams, but how long can this last? Are they going to be able to step on some teams' necks, metaphorically speaking, the further we get into the season? Then again, last year, Chiefs had a similar formula and ended up pretty good.
Yeah, won a Super Bowl,
Eric,
so I mean,
coming
win the
off
games
the
that
show
matter.
Last week, I was convinced in my mind that the Baltimore Ravens, I was going to go back and forth with you as deserving of the number 1 spot. Guess what? They lose against Cleveland, and that's a problem.
Cleveland.
4 drops for
now you
Lamar.
see why
I'm
I
watching
put
this game
the Commanders up.
myself, man, like these are golden opportunities. I don't know what to make. I think it's fair, completely fair, where you have them right now.
Yeah, and drops on both sides of the ball, right? There was like you said, the 4 by the receivers there. Rashad Bateman had a big one that could have really flipped the field there at the end of the game. But also Kyle Hamilton's dropped interception. Yep. Jameis Winston comes back, strikes him, and puts him down.
Man, I wish he had stayed in the black and gold. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad we got Spencer Rattler because we need a young quarterback eventually. But, man, if only we saw Jameis.
And this is now the 8th time since the start of the 2022 season that the Ravens have led going into the final 2 minutes of the game and came out with a loss. Obviously, a distressing trend that we see. I mean, look, Lamar Jackson's outstanding. He could do it with the best of them. Had big plays in this game. Certainly was a big part of putting him in a position to win, but couldn't finish it off. The defense certainly carries a lot of the burden for that, but his receivers have to step up too. They've got to find ways to haul in the football when it's put on target. And this is just a little bit of a second loss this season against a seemingly lesser opponent, along with the Raiders in Baltimore. So look, I mean, these are the kind of losses that not only hurt your seeding, but also kind of hurt your reputation. We're talking about some of the heavyweights in the NFL.
Yeah, look, this division, and we'll talk Steelers coming up in just a bit. We'll talk
the
about
Steelers are the number 1
as
team
well.
in the division, which is crazy too. They're not even top 8.
Not in a good way, but it is
that's
wild
disrespectful
to me
low
from
key.
a Baltimore perspective. I felt like they were the best team.
So I'm gonna say that quick interjection too. That's disrespectful low key. Steelers are number 1 in the division, and Baltimore is still at number 4, and Pittsburgh isn't even at least top 8. Now, me personally, I will correct my top 8 then because I have Minnesota down here below Houston anyway. I would take Pittsburgh over Minnesota and could see the argument for Green Bay. If you have Pittsburgh better than Green Bay, I could see the argument. And I might actually roll with you. Yeah. Not better than Houston's lost to some tough teams. I might just have them number 5. Honestly. Or not number 5, but that would make them number 6. I could still see Baltimore being ahead of them, of course. I do feel like they're stronger. They're just losing these games close. You know what? Pittsburgh's balling. I can't even lie to you, y'all. Y'all, Pittsburgh really is balling. I'm reshaking up my power rankings. I'm going to tell y'all my top 9. Kansas City, Detroit, Buffalo, Commanders, Pittsburgh, top 5. And then Baltimore, Houston, Green Bay, Minnesota. That's my top 9.
Division right now, looking up at Pittsburgh in the standings. The Commanders moving up 2 spots. Here we go. The Hail Mary, all the hoopla and the fanfare that we have seen. It was entertaining. They were fortunate to get this win. I wasn't sure how you were going to treat them, but I guess a W is a W, and they move up 2 spots in your power rankings.
Yeah, you had said earlier you thought they maybe outplayed the Bears. I would disagree. I thought the Commanders were the
I'm with you. I
gotcha.
didn't think
I may have misheard that.
Yeah,
I thought the Commanders were the better team for the first 50 minutes. Did they start sort of giving up some ground there at the end a little bit? First of all, the Swift touchdown, a little bit of a breakdown there, and let the Bears get back into it. 2 cracks at the end zone there, one that failed and one that worked. And yeah, there was a little bit of worry there. But obviously, when you have an injured quarterback who can make magic like this. And
Injured
Chicago,
too.
don't let him go back to the other side. They did. And of course, he burned him. I mean, Jalen Daniels made a terrific throw. The Bears were disorganized defensively. The Commanders were in their right spots. They made that play. Also, smart execution on the 2 plays prior. The Bears gave him a ton of space. They took advantage. I don't think Daniels able to make that throw if the Bears don't allow them sort of 24 free yards. At least 13 of them were pretty easy. So great execution. You're down to 25 seconds in your last gasp. Doesn't look good. But with this kid, I tell you what, his equanimity, his cool, his calm, they're all very impressive. And that Washington defense, too, held Caleb Williams and the Bears in check for most of this game. And I thought did an outstanding job. That's 4 of the last 5 games, Mike, where you have to say they've played well on that side of the ball, even if it remains somewhat of a question.
Yeah, by the way, you talk about that last sequence. I thought Tony Romo, and I'm usually not big on talking about broadcasters, I thought he did a tremendous job on the broadcast to break that down from a quarterback's perspective. And Jaden Daniels,
I got to hear that, Dan.
Banged up with the injury. I was also concerned about him being able to make a throw like that. He delivered in the game's crucial moments. And the only other thing that I will say about this game, I'm thrilled that it played out this way because I feel like this is a start of 1 versus 2 quarterbacks that are always going to be linked, and we'll always go back to this game. And hopefully these 2 spots are going to be butting heads for a long, long time with those 2 quarterbacks.
It would be nice.
And Eric, there's some other news to get to with the team that you had slotted at number 8. That's the Houston Texans.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Stephon Diggs got hurt.
Get banged up. Weren't sure exactly in the moment the severity of the injury, but DeMeco Ryans making it official. ACL injury. He is done for the year. What does this mean for the Texans moving forward?
Yeah, this is obviously a tough blow. They made the big trade in the offseason. They felt like this was going to kind of bring the unit together, take CJ Stroud to the next level. Had it done that before the injury, I don't know, but obviously removing him from the equation and not having Nico Collins for at least another week. Remember, the Texans play the Jets on Thursday.
Oh, this is the Jets.
Dell, your number 1 receiver,
Yeah.
Does Dalton Schultz have to step up for a big role? Or is it
Let's not forget, Tank Dell had a great year last year. I even picked him up again in fantasy this year. He's been playing booty cheeks this year. But before the injury last year, he really was, honestly, to me, playing more like the number 1 than Nico. So I think they still be fine with him and Dalton Schultz. Now, if they still were getting the same production that they were getting from, I forgot his name. That's how much he's not been producing. I forgot the running back that was there that was killing me. Because he was helping me on fantasy last year, too. And I'm surprised that he hasn't been busting out and having good games here recently. But, if they were getting more run production, I think it pretty much would be strong, still strong. Now, this upcoming game is against the Jets. I think it's an easy dub for you. A little layup here right before you get Nico Collins back, and then you can go back to being strong.
To be a Joe Mixon game, I'm not sure, but this takes yet another weapon away from CJ Stroud.
Dameon Pierce, got it.
You lost Mixon for a bit. They had John Mechie on IR for a whole year.
Oh yeah, John Mechie's there too. One of the fastest receivers to come out of his class.
As well. But now Stephon Diggs going down takes a big threat away. And even when Collins comes back, I think they're going to be shorthanded, Mike.
Yeah, any concern? Look, trade deadline right around the corner. This is a move that they've made. Like, this is a really good Houston team that's got to be thinking Super Bowl aspirations, and maybe Diggs was that missing piece. They don't have him now.
Yeah, if they can get somebody cheap, obviously that's the best way to do it, right? If you get somebody trying to unload a salary or somebody in the final year of their deal or something like that, flip them a future pick on day 3. I think that would be outstanding. What the Texans don't want to do is kind of upset the future till of picks. They've done a great job building this roster through the draft. Yeah. And so you want 5 year away from a plan that's been highly successful just to fix a short-term need that may not end up in a Super Bowl. So it's a catch-22 either way.
Tough balancing act for that organization as they try to figure out short-term goals and long-term goals. So we're just getting started
here on
Power Rankings. In fact, there is one team that can take.
All right, so onwards to the second quadrant. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like for us. And here we are. And look, still at least cracked the top 9. So, we just reorder that 9 spot there for us. But here, if we had to just keep the 8 the same and we had to reorder this section to 8 right here, we have the Steelers at 9, Eagles at 10, staying where they are. Broncos go up 1. Falcons go up 3-12. Well deserved. Unfortunately, they still suck though. Bears down 2-13. 49ers up 2-14. Chargers up 2-15. And the Buccaneers are down 3-16. So, let's see. I honestly, and as much as it pains me to say this, as a just coming from this a non-biased standpoint, I would probably put Atlanta above Denver. And that would probably be the only change that I make, honestly. If I'm looking at this, if I'm looking at just this 8, that would be the only change I made. Now, if we switch those two and Minnesota's right there at 9, I'm probably putting Philadelphia over Minnesota. So Minnesota actually drops down to the 10th spot. And low key, I actually might put Atlanta over them too. Yeah, Minnesota would be 11 for me. Eagles would be 9. Or no, Eagles would still be, they would be 9 because Minnesota was 9. So Eagles would be 9, Falcons would be 10, Minnesota would be 11, Denver would be 12, and then everything else will follow as suits. So let me know down below where you guys are rocking with it though.
I'm almost surprised. I wasn't sure. We finished up our post-game show on NFL Network on Monday night, and I'm walking off the set with Steve Leitch, and I'm like, I actually said to him, I'm wondering where Eric's going to put the Steelers. They're winning football games. The defense is playing well. They're occupying the top spot in the toughest division, and yet no change. Why not move them up a little bit?
Yeah, part of this was the real estate around them, Mike. You got to look at the comps, right? And a lot of teams just south of them and just north of them won and won in either similar fashion or, not.
Minnesota. That's really the only team. Minnesota, though.
Not so impressively that I had to move one team up or down. It was slow going early. I mean, the run game was fine, and then finally they get the deep ball going. This was what really, I thought, changed the game. Obviously, the punt return, too. But, getting the vertical shots that Russell Wilson is so good at getting, that really kind of, I think, unlocked the offense. Now, Russell did put the ball on the ground late, and, it required TJ Watt to come up with his weekly forced fumble and Beanie Bishop to get another interception. So they had to make some late saves defensively. Daniel Jones got in a rhythm early and then was harassed. 5 sacks on the night, I want to say. And, they just closed the door, even if they let Tyrone Tracy loose a few times. So, yes, a little bit of a sluggish start, but they ended up getting the job done in moderately impressive fashion. Again, like you said, the formula works. They keep winning. You got to give Mike Tomlin some Coach of the Year cred for his decision on Wilson and for keeping it going with 2 different quarterbacks and having the results be very similar.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you brought up that point. A really important distinction there. I think a lot of people were questioning the change to go to Russell Wilson, considering the success in terms of wins and losses that the Steelers have. But it looks like it's elevated them. They needed this win. They head into the bye. Next 4 games for them are monster matchups, especially inside that division.
I got to see that. What's their schedule look like?
By FanDuel. Let's take a look at the odds.
I'm not going to lie to y'all. We don't really pause too often in these videos, right? So let me look. Because I need to see what their schedule looks like. And that actually intrigues me a little bit. All right, so I got it here. And he was not lying. We got after the bye, we got Commanders, Baltimore, Cleveland on a Thursday, and in Cincinnati. I could very easily see them going 2-2, high end 3-1. But I think the low end is 2-2. I think they can handle Cleveland but Jameis played so good. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Jameis did play. I say low end would be 1-3. I think they at least come out of this winning one of these 4. I do think it's the Cincinnati game. It's like the guaranteed dub. I think they're guaranteedly losing one of these, and the guarantee for me is the Commanders. The only 2 that are toss-ups to see what else will happen is Baltimore and Cleveland, see how they come out. But if I'm being honest, I think the Commanders get the dub. I'm rolling with the Commanders at least strongly. And I think they can strongly beat Cincinnati. The 2 in the middle are the question marks for me. I think that they, like I said, high end walk out 3-1, low end walk in 1-3. So I'm going right in the middle with the 2-2 4 game set. What are you guys predicting for the Steelers during that 4 game set? Let me know in the comment section. And of course, they want to talk about my division. Okay, we get it. We about to pick top 5. Stop talking about it.
Right now in the NFC South. Don't look now, but the Atlanta Falcons are moving on up. The Tampa Bay Bucks sitting behind them and a slew of injuries that they're going to have to navigate. The Saints all of a sudden a downward spiral, and the Carolina Panthers, well, they're the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, the Falcons.
At least we ain't the Panthers.
3 spots. I still have some concerns right now with this football team.
I mean, they're not contenders, but they'll probably take the division.
Felt like you needed to move them up because of the win. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, well, obviously wanted to recognize the win, but also it's kind of a reflection of the division now. That they've swept the Bucks, now that the Bucks basically have to finish a game ahead of them if they want to win the NFC South. That's a big factor right there, is that look, there's a really good chance the Falcons are getting a home playoff game this year. And, Kirk Cousins, I'm sure he would love to face the Bucs again. I think he's averaging roughly 100 yards a quarter passing against them. So pretty good numbers. A lot of them built up in the 500-yard game earlier this season, but also a strong first half this year. Didn't need to do as much in the second half. Actually thought they took the foot off the pedal a little bit, and that safety kind of got the Bucs back in the game somewhat. But Kirk Cousins finding ways. I think that was a career-high scramble right there. Pretty good effort from him. And, you get Kyle Pitts involved, and he had a few big plays, 2 touchdowns, almost lost one of them. So you're right. They kind of give you reasons to not like them. They let the Bucs back in the game. Pitts almost fumbles this one here. Antoine Winfield nearly made a terrific play. It held up on review, but there are just these little things that prevent me from getting him in the top 10. But clearly they're winning enough to get in that top 10.
Here's the other thing I'll throw out there. 4-0 right now inside the division. So at the end of the day, if there is a formula to get to the postseason, handle business inside your division. That's why they sit atop right now, the NFC South. The San Francisco 49ers trying to keep this thing, the patchwork, and keep it alive. They figured out a way. Dallas made it interesting late in this ball game. I sort of felt like, hey, Niners got this one heading into the fourth quarter, and they were going to take care of business. I don't know. They're still dangerous to me, but it feels like the perception of invincibility is no longer there with this Niner squad.
Absolutely. I agree. That's a terrific way to describe them right now. I think people feel like they can beat this team, whether it's in San Francisco. Obviously, the Rams came back with a big fourth quarter to beat them, or whether it's in the opponent's building or whatever. So, yeah, this is a San Francisco team that's having to kind of reinvent itself on the fly here. Look, the bye week happens at a nice time here. They can finally get even healthier. Maybe Dre Greenlaw's back. Maybe Christian McCaffrey comes back at some point too. The ingredients are there. I know the Ayuk loss was tough, but Brock Purdy using his legs a little bit more, getting those first downs. And Dallas came out and played hard. I mean, they were gaining a lot of yards after scrimmage and making some big plays defensively. And, the 49ers were able to kind of hold up to it and stand tough. And this guy right here, Ricky Pearsall, could be a big factor down the stretch. They need that third weapon, if you will. I don't know if you can count on George Kittle to produce like this every single week. So it helps when your defense takes the ball away as well. And just enough defensively, just enough offensively. And they get healthier. They're kind of back in that just outside the circle of trust group, I would say.
Yeah. Circle of trust interesting, group. And I think you alluded to it. This was a big boy football game. Both of these teams probably felt like they absolutely needed it. It was physical from the get-go. Both teams wanted Niners victorious. We'll talk about the Cowboys coming up in just a bit here. But the reality is the Niners, to me, at least on paper, I'll say this, look more dangerous than the Atlanta Falcons. I would be more concerned later in the season playing San Francisco than Atlanta, at least right now. We'll see how both of these teams look by season's end. Meanwhile, there is one team that Eric's got sitting in the 20s that I think is poised to make not only a run in their own division, but a run in the playoffs. We'll tell you.
Okay, you want to really explain that one. Run in the 20s? Let's go ahead and get into this quadrant 3, though, and go ahead and see how we would reorganize this and see what team he might be talking about. All right. So 17 through 24, we have Seattle dropping 3 spots to 17. Arizona up 3 to 18. Colts down 1 to 19. Rams up 3 to 20. Cowboys dropping 2. Bengals dropping 2 to 21 and 22. Miami up 2 to 23. And the Jets down 2 to 24. Now, if I had to guess which team he might be talking about, maybe he's talking about. I couldn't tell you. I mean, Seattle would be my first guess, but they've been kind of playing kind of bad recently. Arizona's been back and forth. Colts just benched Anthony Richardson, so I don't think he's talking about them. The Rams? No, he's probably talking about Cincinnati. Even though they just lost this week, I don't know. He might be talking about Cincinnati. They could. They definitely could. They have the talent to. They're just missing, I think, the run game to really help out the pass game. But if I had to reorganize this, am I cool with this list? I'll probably put the Bengals over the Cowboys. But outside of that, I'm pretty cool with this list. I mean, the Jets probably could be a little lower, but I'm probably cool with this list, though.
I mentioned some news. The Colts, who sit at number 19, Tom Pelissero is reporting it's not going to be Anthony Richardson. Joe Flacco getting the start this coming week. What do you make of the decision?
Yeah, obviously I put the power rankings to bed before this news came to light. I'm not sure if I would have moved him down, at least just based on how Flacco has run the offense compared to Richardson. Flacco, a lot more on schedule, a lot more consistent, a lot more drive to drive success, I would say. Now, Richardson has been kind of all or nothing. He made some terrific throws on Sunday, also had some big runs late. But, Mike, I can't help but think that tapping out on that 3rd and goal play, even if it came from outside the 20, probably didn't sit well with the coaching staff. Again, this is me speculating. It probably didn't sit well with fans, probably didn't sit well with some players. I don't know how much that had to do with the decision. We'll find out more from Shane Steichen once he talks and explains his move here. But can't say I'm totally surprised, although this was only Richardson's 10th start in the NFL. They got to develop him or figure out what he is exactly or how he can improve if they're going to have a future quarterback, the former top 5 pick running the show.
Yeah, the Colts on the road matching up against the Vikings, who are a team that has now lost 2 consecutive games. At number 20, they move up 3 spots, so you loved them up here. I think the Rams are poised for a big run. This division has been,
I didn't think you'd say them,
struggling,
but
right? I mean, that's just the reality of it.
All 3 of their teams are close.
For the Rams is they got the injuries out of the way. If they stay healthy, this might be a glimpse of what we've seen, or at least expected to see against that Minnesota defense. I mean, they put up over 30 points. Puka's out there. Cooper Kupp is balling again. I think they're dangerous.
Yeah, the 2 guys we didn't think were going to play this past week, Puka Nacua and Jaden Daniels, both go out there and play outstanding football games. And, Nacua was the target right away. Stafford had no problem throwing him the football. A little slower burn with Kupp, but he had his imprint on this game as well. Drew some flags, had the touchdown, a couple big catches in between too. And if you did nothing but watch Matthew Stafford when he didn't have his top 2 receivers, you saw an uncomfortable quarterback. At least I did. I felt like this was a guy who was out of rhythm, wasn't sort of feeling in the same groove that he normally is in. But last Thursday was a different story, and against a good defense too. So Kyron Williams, those receivers, you still have DeMarcus Robertson. Sean McVay calling plays, a defense that's becoming more optimistic. I like their chances, even though it's a division that's very, very crowded. Everybody has 4 losses at this point.
Yeah, look, 4 and 4. Well, 4 and 4, 3 teams. Sitting in that division with that record. The Rams are actually just 1 game out with a 3-4 record, and they go on the road against Seattle this coming week, which really could mix up these standings in such a meaningful way and get the Rams back into this mix. They're not even out of it right now. Cincinnati, I've been high on them all season. I've been kind of giving it to them a little bit. They're sitting at number 22. I'm done. I'm done doing the defending. You got to beat good teams. And you lost some games earlier that maybe you shouldn't have lost, but to look the way that they did against Philadelphia, I think they're deserving. They dropped 2 spots to number 22. I will not campaign the rest of the season for them, Eric.
This is a campaign promise I can get behind. I like this one, right? And nothing against the Bengals, right? But when you get to a certain point, we can only give you so much rope, only so much slack, and assume that the next big win is around the corner. Look, they started well at this game, had a great opening drive, had the lead after the first quarter. Eagles a little bit more of a slow starting team, and without T. Higgins out there, it just made such a difference. And this should be a message to the Bengals for next year, too. I mean, if they're, if they have any designs on being back in the Super Bowl hunt, you've got to have those premier playmakers out there. I don't know if a Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow combo without any other sidekick, if you will, is going to get it done. They lack a run game. The offensive line is an issue.
They need a running back.
Defense really hasn't had a big game in a while. So
there's this man named Gentry that they talking about for the Heisman. Well, imagine he go to Cincy. That would be tough. But also imagine him in New Orleans, though. Since Alvin Kamara about to retire, I like that idea better.
Reasons you said and what I added on, I think we can move on from them.
The unfortunate thing about this is Joe Burrow heading into this past game against Philadelphia was playing at an MVP type level, wasn't getting maybe much love because team's not winning some football games, and that's why I'm disappointed with this squad. Let's go to.
Here we are, man. In the 4th quadrant. Welcome to it, the basement. Down 1 spot to 25. And I don't even disagree with it. Giants are behind us at 26, though. Browns up 3 spots to 27. Impressive win. Probably could even put them, honestly, above us at this point at 25 at least. Jaguars down 1 spot at 28. Raiders down to 29. Patriots up 1 to 30. Titans dropping 2 to 31. Well deserving. And then the Panthers, still the worst team in the NFL at 1-7.
This famous Jameis, they move up 3 spots. Time for power moves.
Oh, wow. Power moves this late?
Tell me on the Cleveland Browns and why things are going to be A-okay.
Yeah, they made some changes, haven't they, right? Kevin Stefanski gives up play calling duty. They trade Amari Cooper. And when Deshaun Watson gets hurt, Jameis gets his chance, and he doesn't blow it. I mean, he had a great game. Now, granted, did he need a little luck, having a dropped interception there at the end and almost cost the Browns? Sure, but I love the way he attacked downfield and showed no fear. This Browns offense for so long.
5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. That man ain't got no fear.
And things have kind of gotten a little more exciting now. So, look, are they going to win this division? Probably not. But if there's anybody who can pull off the miracle and be this year's
playoff team, maybe
it's probably Jameis Winston. And he had a great game Sunday. Let's see if he can keep it up.
Yeah, to move up these 3 spots and be one of the power movers presented by Energizer says a lot when there's no Deshaun Watson and it's a guy like Jameis Winston leading the charge against that Ravens squad. This game this week might get a little dirty for the Cleveland Browns because that Coach Harbaugh wants to junk it up a little bit as they match up against the Chargers. Hope everyone enjoyed this edition of NFL.
And yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, y'all forget Jameis, outside of what he did in Tampa, has been a great quarterback, even for New Orleans. Pretty sure he went undefeated while our starting quarterback, so I don't know why you let him go. But yeah, Jameis is either undefeated or 5-2. I can't remember. But before he hurt his leg, very, very good starting quarterback. I think they really do got something good there. I don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun. I don't know if we've seen the last of him finally, or if he's going to go into a backup role, more so like what Flacco and Andy Dalton and them are doing nowadays. Because I think Cleveland was like his second chance, and he's still not doing anything there, and has been hurt 2 times since signing. They've both been very big and very tough to deal with injuries, so I don't know what's going to happen with them. But let me know down below your favorite team, where they landed on this week's power rankings. Let it be known in the comment section down below and talk with your boy, and I'll interact with you guys, of course, down below. More major matchups coming in, and we are getting past week 9, obviously going into week 10. So we're getting closer and closer to starting to see how those playoff trees are shaping out. People are running away with their divisions. And we're not close to elimination games. We'll probably get to that around week 13 or so. After Thanksgiving, we start to look more and more deep into playoff race, hunts, eliminations, and stuff like that. But we're getting to that season, so it's starting to be fun. We're starting the month of November football, so let's just get straight into it. I'll catch you guys in the next video, man. Hope you guys have a great Halloween as well, and enjoy it too on Thursday. Is there a football game on Thursday? I gotta check and see if there's still a game going on Thursday. That would suck. Imagine you miss Halloween because you gotta play. Side that ain't gonna say I gladly give it up. But catch you guys in the next video, man. It's me, Roy Shotty Smooth, Black, I'm sorry, King Leo. Catch you guys in the next video, man. I'm gone for the day. Peace.